Hey everybody, this is Strategywizard again, and today I'm going to be getting, finally, a video up of me versus the critics of Starship Samurai. I've been wanting to do this for quite some time, and honestly the main thing that's kept me from doing it sooner is there aren't really that many negative comments about it right now. There's not a lot of comments, period. I guess partly because it's so new, and maybe it's just not up most people's alley for that matter. I don't know. So people haven't tried it to be able to rate it. I don't know. Either way, I want to go ahead and do it anyway because this game is one that I really feel strongly about. If you watch my review, then you'll know that I really enjoyed it a lot for many different reasons. So let's just go ahead and jump in, and we'll go over the comments that are negative that are here, and maybe, depending on how quick this goes, maybe we'll jump up and see some positive ones to make us feel better. Or make me feel better, I should say. Okay, so there's no ones that have any comments anyway. Now, there's a 2, and we're going to go ahead and see what this guy has to say. He says, nonsense in space. The design lacks cohesion and oozes arbitrariness. There's no progression or arc to the gameplay. There's no sense of escalation in the various battles. Now, he says a lot more, but I'm trying to think here. He says there's no progression or arc to the gameplay. Okay. In a sense, I see where he's coming from. It's like a bunch of skirmishes. I mean, each round really is you building up. Yeah, that is the escalation that ends in a battle. So it's like a repeated escalation. Each round you have this building escalation, building tensions, trying to figure out where people are going to be to fight a battle. So there may not be an overall arc to the whole game, but there is, these escalations that happen repeatedly. So I don't see that as a problem, though. There's no sense of escalation in the various battles. To me, there is. Now, he says there's no sense of escalation. There is to me because, you put a few troops over here, a few troops over there, then you'll surprise someone and move troops over here and suddenly have a really powerful force, or you'll play a card that forces someone to lose their troops, or you play a card to protect an area from getting infiltrated by other people. I mean, there's all kinds of different things you can do to affect the game state and what areas are being controlled by whom and how safe you are and all that kind of stuff. So I disagree there. You simply repeat a single round until the end of the game to see who collected the most points. Now that's kind of what I said before. Yeah, each round is that escalation and then completion, escalation and then completion. That's not a problem to me. The clan track appears to be an attempt at providing some sense of progression, and it does provide some binding for the card play, board play, and action selection. But the clan track doesn't bring enough to the game to elevate it from repetitive point and currency collection. Finally, there's lots of usability issues in the production. Example, Samurai Minis in actual play and the awful multi-pip icons on the location cards. Now, I will agree. Now, a lot of people complain about the fact that the miniatures, there's no way to color code them. You don't have a little piece to snap them into to show this is this player's piece or whatever. And it didn't really bother me, but I know it bothers a lot of people. So I understand that's an issue for many, not for me. It doesn't really faze me one way or the other. And then the awful multi-pip icons on the yes, I agree with that. I mean, you get bonus points for having more different types of locations, and the only way you can tell is up at the top left or the top right. There's some little icon that shows different numbers, little squares or diamonds, whatever. I agree. That is a little ridiculous, but it's not a huge deal. It's just kind of an annoyance. It doesn't take away from how fun the game is. So this person basically says it's repetitive point and currency collection. In a sense, I guess it's repetitive, but it's repetitive in a good way for me, because I like that constant focus on combat, that constant focus on trying to find the best way to get the most points. Where am I going to be? Which battleground is most important for me? And do I want to surprise someone and bluff and act like I'm not going to go somewhere and then make a power play at the end? Each time, even though it's repetitive in the sense that you're doing the same steps over and over again, what you choose to do in those steps can make a humongous difference, and it offers lots of chances for surprises, especially with cards like Betrayal and I can't remember what the other one is. The one where you have a hostage. I can't remember what it's called. There's just lots of great stuff to be done there. So I totally disagree with him, as you can tell. I don't see why those are reasons to give it a 2. I guess if you just don't like doing the same. And every game is repetitive, though. I mean, I'm trying to think what games are not repetitive in a sense. I mean, I guess what he basically means is, unlike, say, Twilight Imperium or Game of Thrones or whatever game he likes, I don't know. I mean, where there's like this, you're expanding, you're spreading your influence. Here, it's these little bite-sized moments of that, of getting some influence and then it goes away, getting some influence and then it goes away. It's different for sure, but to me that's not a big deal. For you, maybe it is. Okay, here's the first three. These are thoughts from a single playthrough from someone that was ready to have a great time just based on theme alone. This is a 4-player only game. Everything about the board and clan tracks is based around 4 people competing for space, and we had fights that barely happened even then. What? I wonder if... I just have to speculate right off the bat that maybe this person doesn't realize that you have a number of areas based on how many players there are. So if there's only 2 players, there's only 2 boards to fight over. For you to have almost no fights is unbelievable to me. I mean, sure, you could choose to say, hey, you stay over there and I'll stay over here, but that takes away half the fun of the game, and it takes away half the cards. A lot of the cards are very aggressive, and usually it's to your interest to try to go over there and mess with your opponent. Now, in a 2-player game, sure, it's not going to be quite as interesting as far as all that goes. But so I'll agree with him in that sense that 2 is not as good for the conflict. Still there though. And then with 3, there's plenty of conflict. Whenever me and my 2 cousins played, Zach and Jared, we had a great time. Just constantly shifting around trying to fight each other. So I totally disagree with that. I don't know where that's coming from. I don't know. Is he saying that if you play with 2 or 3 players that he still does he not realize that you only play with 2 or 3 boards? I don't know. The game does not have interesting elements to it. Well, that's kind of extreme to say. The miniatures are great. I drafted Tamatomo without even reading his abilities because I love the design so much, but they didn't feel epic at all. The scale is that these mechs are bigger than spaceships, but they don't really do anything that feels that much larger than life. Many of the action cards, even the good ones, are not fun to use. Now, I disagree with that. I disagree with both, actually. I mean, all of the mechs, the samurai mechs, contribute a ton to your strategy. I mean, I can't remember the names off the top of my head, but the one that actually costs a wealth but has 6 power, that's huge. We're talking about super intimidating. Once he shows up to the battle, you almost just want to go like, I give up. Or you have the one that makes it to where your opponent... For one thing, they all have a good bit of power for the most part. But you have the one that makes it to where your opponents have to reveal their battle cards first. That gives you tons of power because you know if you can win or not, and therefore which card to play. That's huge. Or you have the one that lets you just shoot, and you can blow a ship up every round. I mean, that's ridiculous, or every turn, or whatever it is. I mean, you just pop off people's ships like crazy. So to say they're not larger than life is beyond me. I don't think he realizes how important some of them are. Yeah, I think it's Hideyoshi maybe that whenever you move him, he just moves someone up the clan track. That's not as exciting, but it's still cool because the idea is that his mech is so influential somehow that he's actually making people want to side with him. I don't know thematically how you totally make that make sense, but it's a cool thing to be able to manipulate which clans are on your side just because you're moving into the battlefield, or the one that moves for free. That's not larger than life, but it means that you can just get automatically for a free movement a really powerful guy on the field. I mean, all that's great to me. So they say the scale is these mechs are bigger. Yeah, many of the action cards, even the good ones, are not fun to use. I totally disagree. I've already mentioned some. The wedding is super powerful, and whatever it's called, betrayal and other things, really awesome. I don't know what this guy's talking about. They just are good or bad or functional, not exciting. I was excited whenever I used them. Moving the clan influence happens so frequently, addressed later, that it usually isn't exciting either. Everything just happens. Now, I'll agree with this part, that if you use the action to move the clan influence, manipulate, a clan on the influence track, that in of itself is not really exciting. That is more just a practical thing. I don't want them to get points. I want myself to get points. Okay, I'll give you that, but that's not a problem. That's just what that mechanic is. It's about trying to shift the balance of power. The action cards are horribly unbalanced. The costs vary seemingly at random, with some costing you more than the player you are affecting. There's not one card I can think of that does that, so I disagree there. I could be wrong, maybe I'm forgetting something, but it seems like pretty much everything is a no-brainer that it helps you more. Now, there's some, if you have 3 or 4 players, that you're going to get hurt some, and your opponent's going to get hurt even more, but you have to decide, is me getting hurt some worth it whenever the other players that I'm not affecting aren't getting hurt? There is that, but that's just about timing and knowing when the right time to use the card is. One such there are others. Okay. Others, when drawn early in the game, are so expensive and not immediately helpful that you have basically wasted a turn in obtaining them. I can't think of any like that either. There are others that are extreme, take that beyond what one card should be able to do. One such card made another player and me both lose ships we had placed and cards from our hands. This is the equivalent of negating 2 actions from each of us, and only 1 action can be taken per turn. And this is on a card that you can use in addition to your action on a turn. On the other hand, there were cards that did almost nothing and were never played, just discarded for better ones. Others affected the clan board in a way that completely shaped the outcome of our game, and not in a good way. I think this person doesn't like cards that are powerful. I mean, it's kind of funny. He just earlier said they weren't that exciting, and now he's saying that they do too much. That's kind of what makes it exciting to me, is there are some really powerful cards. So whenever you get them, you feel great about getting to use them. So I disagree. I think that's a strength of the game. And now, he implied that one was so powerful that it was just ridiculous. I don't know which card he's talking about. I don't remember one that did that. And maybe he's playing with the expansion. I haven't played with those cards yet. Or even if he is talking about the base game, I've played and used every card, and I never thought any card was too powerful. They're all actually very fun. The game is too long. All of us playing were ready to play quickly and knock the game out, preparing ideas of what to do before our turn. But it didn't matter because of the insanely powerful cards that only some people had. There would be sudden huge swing turns, and everything you had prepared for was pointless. Nothing was the same at any point. If you wanted to, you could almost always take over at least one area, thus moving the clan track again. We had many back and forth moments like this where the net effect was essentially nothing. I haven't experienced that. I mean, there are some swingy moments in the sense that, you can have really big plays, but it never just wipes out everything you did, except for one card in particular, and that's even a choice. You can, I think it's the hostage card, where you basically threaten someone and say, hey, you've either got to take all your ships away from this area, or you're going to lose a bunch of honor because I'm going to kill the hostage. And that could be a huge game changer because you'd lose all your ships in one area, but it's a choice. You could just lose the honor and keep your ships there, in which case it's not such a big game changer. It just makes you lose points, which is not good. But it's a choice, and to me, that's one thing that I like about this game, is the fact that they make it to where there's almost never really anything that's just devastating. It's stuff that could be bad, but in that one case, and maybe others, whenever there's a really bad thing that would happen, you get a choice to keep the worst crazy thing from happening. And I think that's the way it should be, and they did a good job of that. Last but not least, this guy says, the theme is just pasted on. Nothing about this was exclusive to space other than the design. Nothing felt like giant space mechs. Nothing even felt like tiny space ships or space battles or anything. Very disappointing. Yeah, I guess I can see where he's coming from on the theme. I mean, the theme is cool. I like the theme, and I think that the cards are thematic in what you're doing. Is it necessarily space-oriented versus tanks and modern times right now, or contemporary stuff? Not necessarily. You could have the same stuff for the most part, but the theme still is exciting. It's still a militaristic game, so they just chose this particular theme of military, which I think is exciting. Okay, here's another 3. The basic idea of the game is this. There are 8 really fancy samurai robot figurines and some rules for using them. Good luck telling which is which. I didn't have a problem with that. I know some people do, so that's just that. You will tire of this pointless game before you bother making markers in the player colors. The publisher probably knew this, which is why they didn't bother including them. The only possibly interesting mechanic is that it's the winner of the battle that retreats, leaving the losers with a head start on the next battle. It might be interesting if there was some way that players could know what they'd be fighting over in the next round, but there isn't. That doesn't make it uninteresting. It's kind of just a natural catch-up mechanic. The idea that, hey, we won, so our ships are going to go ahead and move on into occupy this place. The other players' ships are like, well, we didn't get what we wanted. Let's go to the next place to go capture. And I don't see what the problem is with that. I really don't get it. I mean, it's a good thing, and it's particularly important if you're going to be the next first player, because whenever it comes to your turn, you're going to get the bonus immediately. If you have the most power in a given place, you'll just immediately get the bonus for that territory. You may not know what it is, but it's always good. So, unless of course you have, I guess there's a particular case where if you already had a clan marker all the way maxed out, then it could be something that comes up that it just really isn't very helpful for you. But That's unlikely, and if that bothers you, then just don't worry about trying to get a clan marker to the maximum. Try to just get a bunch of them somewhere. That way you're always happy to try to earn the rewards from any given location. Not a big deal to me. Hey, we have a 4. Despite the cartoon shininess of its miniatures and setting, Starship Samurai strikes with all the force of a dumpster noodle. Its battles are as indistinct as its tide of gray plastic, and its few positive attributes aren't enough to salvage this particular wreckage. Okay, its battles are as indistinct as its tide of gray plastic. To me, I don't even know what to say to that. I mean, to me, the battles are interesting precisely because it's the preparation for the battles partly that's exciting. It's trying to maneuver your troops in a way that puts you in a good situation. But then, once you've gotten to that point, choosing your battle card is a huge thing, because any game where you secretly choose a card, and the fact that in this game, you could, if you had 4 players, you could have 4 people competing over one area, so 4 people are going to flip over a card, and it could be doing all kinds of different things to affect the battle. So, to me, that is exciting. It's not indistinct at all. So, I don't know why he doesn't like it, but okay, I can't really help him there. Here's the last 4. Overproduced and underdesigned. There's about enough game here to justify a box and price 1/3 this size without the unnecessary gigantic miniatures. Theme really does not shine here. Contrary to what one high rater said, I think this really does just feel like guys on a board. I will, again, agree that thematically, I mean, it's not just totally thematic about, it's not like this game is clearly designed around the idea of samurai mechs. It's not clearly designed around that. But it's still interesting, and it's still exciting, because seeing those mechs, it just brings out, if you like the theme, at least for me, it's exciting to see them. You're like, wow, look at that. And when people move them in to a location, it just feels intense. So to me, it does bring something. There's something better. I wouldn't want to see a little token. I don't want to see a little cardboard token of a samurai mech that goes, bloop, now I'm here. That would put me to sleep. There's something about that three-dimensional grandeur and this massive mech sitting there that you're like, whoa, that place looks like it's dangerous to go to. If everything's just a bunch of little cardboard discs that you throw on each area, you're going, okay, you moved your cardboard disc in there. I'll move my cardboard disc in there. It just loses some of the excitement. So I disagree with that, but you'll know if you agree or not with that kind of thing. Maybe some people like miniatures, some people don't. I do, so it means a lot to me. Okay, oh my gosh, I just have to read this 5 and then we'll probably close. This guy says, traded for Viticulture Essential Edition. He says EE. I think that's Essentials Edition. I can just tell you right now, and this goes to personal player preferences. I've played Viticulture, have no desire to ever play it again. No desire whatsoever. On the other hand, Starship Samurai, I could play it over and over again and just enjoy it tons. It's just a great game to me. But again, that goes back to the whole idea that some people don't like area control, some people don't like miniatures, some people don't like XYZ. So, hey, he can trade it for Viticulture. If I owned Viticulture, I would have traded it for Starship Samurai. So there you go. You have it. That's my opinion. That's these people's opinion. Hopefully it was helpful. Hopefully you got some ideas about what you might not like about this game, or maybe it'll reconfirm that it sounds like something you would enjoy. Either way, I'd appreciate it if you give me a thumbs up if this was helpful or you enjoyed it or got a laugh out of it. And I look forward to seeing you all on the next one. So take care, everybody. Bye.